What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Canadian Football Fanatics YouTube channel. And thank you guys for tuning in to another video, episode 42, coming at you guys here today. And our CFL Prospect Series continues on the channel. First and foremost, before we get into today's guest, I want to give a shout out and congratulations to one of our previous guests, Jackson Findlay, University of Manitoba quarterback. He is on to the CFL's National Combine. He's going to qualify after impressing enough to get the call. I believe 11 participants from the Invitational Combine. Unfortunately, Riker Frank was not one of them, but Riker going back to school. Hopefully, I know there was a couple goals that he had in mind for this upcoming season, so hopefully he can achieve those, and then next year, maybe even get a look into the CFL. Who knows? But still, go check out that episode. Congratulations to Jackson, and then we are now on, folks, to the CFL's National Combine in a few weeks. It might even be a little bit closer by the time you guys are hearing this episode. The CFL's National Combine is March 21st to 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. Um, March 21st to 23rd, correct, in Regina this year. So looking forward to that, and that is why we're having on another guest today, and that is going to be Vancouver College alum, Western Mustang safety, Jackson Findlay is going to be joining the podcast here today. And by the time you guys are listening to this, we're going to have episode 41 already out, and we were lucky enough to sit down with fellow BC boy and another safety in U Sports, Nate Boschman, last episode. And Nate, alongside Jackson, are both preparing for the upcoming National Combine. Are two guys that were represented on the CFL's Top 20 CFL Scouting Bureau, and are two guys who are looking to be, impressed at the Combine and hear their names called on draft day. They will for sure, and I would imagine they want to hear their names called as early as possible. So, gonna have Jackson on today. If you guys haven't already, go back and check out the Nate Boschman episode. I'm still kicked off that we are unfortunately we had to cut that one in half for the pretty much because of some technical difficulties, we'll call it, through the first half of the episode, and it was unfortunate, but we were able to basically get it from Nate's Calgary career onwards, and then his preparations for the upcoming combine. I believe it's about a half an hour conversation. Unfortunately, we actually sat down with him for about 50 minutes, and like I said, we had to chop a little bit of it off because there was some background noise, unfortunately. So today we're going to have the same kind of similar conversation with Jackson Findlay, kind of chat about his journey, as you guys are well aware if you guys are tuning into the regular episodes, which I hope you guys are, and then chat about kind of his, goals, mindset going into the CFL Combine and the next chapter of his life, hopefully becoming a CFL pro. So before we get into it, episode 42, can't believe it already, folks, we are going to read a couple ad reads, of course. So first of two ad reads on today's episode is the Area 51 Sports. This episode is brought to you by Area 51 Sports, your one-stop shop for all your football needs. Whether you're looking for top-notch footballs, helmets, shoulder pads, cleats, gloves, or even flag football gear, Area 51 Sports has got you covered. Trusted by athletes at every level, they're dedicated to helping you play your best. Gear up and dominate the field with Area 51 Sports. Visit their website today and take your game to the next level. This episode is also brought to you by the Senior Men's Canadian National Football Team. And the Senior Men's National Canadian Football Team needs your support as they gear up to represent Canada this April versus Team Italy in Europe. Help the boys bring home the win by checking out the fundraising options and official team merchandise at footballcanada.com. Every purchase and donation goes directly to supporting the team on their journey. Let's show the world what Canadian football is all about. Head to footballcanada.com today and help the team make us proud. Shout out to our two sponsors here. It's been a good few episodes partnering with them, sponsoring our episodes. As I remind folks, if you guys haven't, if there are some BC Lions fans out there that have checked it out, our BC Lions offseason update that Blake and I just recorded, we are still currently looking for some sponsors for our BC Lions content on the channel, as well as a few segments. I know we introduced the 40-second play clock. We're looking for a sponsor partner for that segment, as well as a sponsor partner for the show, be similar to, our graphic for you're going to see in the tonight's episode. Two logos in the bottom right-hand corner, or excuse me, two logos in the bottom, one on the right, one on the left. Our CFL one will actually be just one logo, and it's going to be top right. And of course, a 30-second ad read as well. So let us know, folks, if you guys are interested. Please, you guys can find us and get a hold of us on our social media at Canadian Football Fanatics on Instagram, at _CF Fanatics on Twitter or X, whatever you guys are calling it or prefer to call it. And I was looking for the graphic, but of course it's not up yet. But once Jackson joins us here in a few moments, you guys will see and be able to be reminded to follow our social media. But one thing that isn't on there, well, actually, I guess it is actually, is to like the video. Comment down below what you guys liked in the video. Comment down below who you guys would like to see in future videos. And of course, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. And when you guys subscribe, press the notification bell. You guys get notified every single time we go live or upload any sort of content here on the channel. So please, folks, I said it in the BC Lions offseason update. 75% of people that consume our content or watch our videos are still unsubscribed. So if you guys can subscribe, it would help us out greatly as we push to 500 subscribers. That is our next goal. And then, of course, after that is going to be the chase to 1,000, 1K. So if you guys can subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated. And it would let us know that you guys are enjoying our content, enjoying our work, and it would go a long way. So please like the video and most importantly, subscribe. Let's throw it over to episode 42 right now. Joining me now is Western Mustang safety Jackson Findlay. Jackson, thank you for joining us. How you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. Of course. So, as I was saying before we hit record, I know it's a busy time for you with your studies and being a person and stuff like that. But you also have, upcoming CFL Combine and stuff like that. So, I'm just curious, how has the last kind of 4 or 5 weeks been for yourself? With obviously kind of the break there with Christmas and stuff like that. But after Christmas, it's kind of like get back into go mode a little bit, right? School, obviously, and then with your combine preparation, I'm sure it's a very busy time for you. So, how has kind of the last month or so been for you?
Yeah, it's been busy, but it's been an exciting time. I think everything is going to be culminating soon with the combines that I'll be attending. So I'm super excited to see all of that. I think I'm in the best shape of my life. So looking to do my best at those combines. And obviously there was school and stuff like that. So I've been busy, but it's been a focused type of busy. So feeling really confident for that stuff and super excited for these next few weeks coming up.
And of course, with being busy, it's all about kind of living out your dreams, hopefully in a few months. So it's a good busy, I'm sure. But with setting kind of for the episode here tonight, I'm curious if you don't mind maybe starting the episode off with just kind of some of your family history. And I believe kind of your grandpa and your dad and your uncle played in the CFL a little bit. So if you don't mind, maybe just sharing some of your family history with some of our listeners.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have a pretty deep family history in football in Canada. So my great grandfather, I believe I asked my dad the other day this, and he said the Tie Cats is who he played for. My grandfather played for BC. My uncle played for Saskatchewan and BC, and my dad played for Saskatchewan. So yeah, pretty deep with Canadian football here in Canada, which is really cool because now I'm in the position to kind of carry that torch through. Which is really an amazing experience and an amazing position to be in. So a lot of pride going into the CFL Combine and all that. So super, super excited for the next step.
So with that, you're in a very unique spot with not a lot of kids having the opportunity to, I don't know if maybe you were quite old enough, but you hear about pro kids that have pro athletes and they're around the locker room, so like that. Maybe you weren't around the locker room, but you're around your dad and uncle who have pro experience around the locker room. How do you think that's been able to kind of benefit you throughout your journey? And obviously in the next few months, you're hoping to fulfill that.
Absolutely. I think my dad's one of the reasons why, or probably the main reason why I'm in the position that I am in. He owns a gym back home, level 10, and I've kind of been around that environment my whole life. So he's trained a bunch of Olympians, professional athletes, CFL players, NFL players, hockey, all that stuff. But I was never forced into football. That was kind of something that came naturally. I was initially a hockey player. I played goalie, believe it or not, way back. And Yeah, my goalie coach said, "Oh, he's pretty athletic. You should try playing some football." So, went into football and kind of fell in love with it. Was pretty good naturally at it. So, flag football and tackle football, and this kind of grew from there. Went to Vancouver College, across town, um, and there I really fell in love with the sport. I knew that I wanted to continue doing it at the post-secondary level, and ended up choosing Western. And after 4 very short years, now I'm here.
So you mentioned I'm actually a BC boy myself, Jackson. I'm from Vancouver Island, actually, so I'm over in Nanaimo. You mentioned back home in Vancouver College. I'm curious, being familiar with the program and stuff, if you don't mind maybe just touching on kind of the tradition that comes with playing at a school like Vancouver College and a lot of winning and a lot of alumni with, professional experience and whatnot. So if you don't mind just maybe talking on kind of the tradition that comes with playing at a school like Vancouver College.
Absolutely. I think Vancouver College had really developed me. Obviously on the field, there was great coaching. I was throughout all grade levels. There's absolutely great coaching, and I've been lucky enough to have my dad kind of follow me through that a little bit too. Um, but even beyond that, like academics and stuff, and the volunteering aspect of it and all that, it developed me as a young man as well. So great culture there, great winning culture, and kind of an expectation to be your best self and put that on the field as well as in the classroom. So, yeah, definitely a huge reason why I am where I am today. And I'm a proud alumni of Vancouver College. And I'm looking forward to giving back to that community when I'm able to, because I had such a great experience there myself. And I'm pretty confident that they have some of the best coaches in the country. They have a bunch of professional athletes that have uh, returned to help coach high school football there, and that goes CFL and NFL. So, yeah, really great experience for me. Great culture, um, and allowed me to kind of go into Western smoothly. I was comfortable when I came to Western with the practices and schedules and all that, and the lifting and balancing out with school and stuff. I was very comfortable in that position, and I think that gave me a leg up on a lot of different aspects of that transition.
So I'm curious, you hear about kids a lot of the time when they aren't able to maybe physically see an example that maybe they don't believe that they could do it. And you're very privileged to, your family, obviously, were able to see that they could do it. But at Van College, people that I'm very familiar with, Rashawn Simon, Christian Covington, Angus Reid, Jamie Borum, I think Kevin Ivan, current defensive coordinator in the CFL. A lot of examples of former Vancouver College alumni that have, been to the professional ranks and they're still doing it today. So how was that for you for, going to Vancouver College and kind of being able to see examples of maybe potentially what you wanted to be in the future, which was a professional football player?
Yeah, you definitely see it on the walls, right? You see the players, wearing their NFL gear, CFL gear. You think, wow, like that's amazing. But like, I'm just a scrawny kid, like I'm not that guy. That guy's jacked and he runs a 4.4, But you kind of realize as you go throughout is that hard work really does translate. And I was always this a tiny guy throughout high school. I didn't grow until grade 12 into university. I grew 2 inches at Western. So kind of just like being able to accept that the physical development will come and just put all your eggs into the mental part and put your heart out on the field and really buy into that culture that they have there. And those professional athletes, a lot of them either come back and coach or are currently playing, and they come back and speak to students at Vancouver College, and they're very proud alumni as well. So I think I can speak on behalf of most of them that say they're super fortunate to have been at Vancouver College, and that's one of the main reasons why they are the young men that they are today, and they're playing professional sports, sport they love, and they're getting paid for it, which is unbelievable.
You talked about Vancouver College helping your transition to Western. I'm curious if you don't mind me just talking about kind of a day in the life of like a student athlete at Vancouver College, because like I said, I'm very well aware like the school and seeing you guys at like going to provincial basketball tournaments, seeing kind of the crowds that turn out and stuff like that, and the pridefulness that comes with going to a school like Vancouver College. But also, like you said, the academics are very important. But um, just take us through a day in the life. I'm sure it's very different than normal public schools in BC.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think kind of touching on that, um, it would be different than a public school, but there's a lot of things that remain the same. I think Vancouver College has great consistency throughout all its grades. So, going to school, we wear uniforms. I don't anymore, which, you know, bittersweet, because now I have to pick an outfit every day, which kind of sucks. But still, it was good, and definitely was a different environment than what I was used to. I went to public school throughout my elementary school, and then I went to Vancouver College in grade 7. It's my first year there, and it was an environment that I did thrive in, and so school is definitely prioritized academics. You're not playing sports unless you're excelling in school. That's kind of a main thing there. As well, there are like mandatory service hours, so you have to volunteer a certain amount of hours, which I really like because it kind of helps you navigate what you like to do beyond school and beyond sports, because there's so much more um, to life as a student, as a high school student, beyond just going to class and playing your sport, right? So that was really cool as well. And yeah, obviously the practices are quite rigorous, and I would compare them to Western football practices. They're very similar in structure and time and intensity and all that. So and then basketball as well. Yeah, there's a reason that the year in and year out the teams are always very great, and big part of that's coaching. A big part of that is the culture, and whether that be waking up for 6:30 a.m. practices, then having another after school, or watching film as a team and individually and tracking that for football, or being in the weight room, from grade 8, grade 9 on, lifting as a team, lifting in your class, getting all that in. So just building good habits really early, and just having that transition throughout your upper years, so that now it just is a habit. You just go to the gym because that's what you do. That's what you're taught to do. And that's the same with showing up on time and all this stuff. So yeah, Vancouver College was definitely a super great experience for me, and prepared me for success at the next level.
So throughout the history of Vancouver College football, I'm sure there's at this point thousands of kids that maybe weren't lucky enough to win provincial championships. And of course, you are lucky enough to call yourself a provincial champion. So talk to us a little bit about that, and kind of, going back to, I'm sure reunions in 10 years and stuff like that. And that team will always have that special bond. You hear about that, right? And um, like I said, going back to Vancouver College, you can have the memories of seeing the banners and stuff like that. So just tell us a little bit about what it meant to you to win a provincial championship at Vancouver College.
Yeah, that was an amazing experience. I mean, I'd been so close for a lot of years there throughout grade 8 and junior varsity. That same team had lost in the finals to Lord Tweedsmuir, and yeah, throughout basketball, coming second, coming third, just so close. So that year, there were a lot of exceptional players, a lot of players that either played post secondary or could have played post secondary on that team. So a lot of talent, and everyone was bought in. Everyone, was a super tight knit group. Grade 11 and 12s, people didn't even know what grade each other were in, or didn't even care, because they were that close as a group. And yeah, ended up, we had a loss early in the season, and then after that, everything just gelled, and I don't think that any team in the country that year. My teammates love to argue this in Ontario, but I think we were one of the top teams in BC history that year. At the end of that year, the way we gelled. So I would have liked to play my current teammates that year.
So you hear about, the talent level you mentioned, excuse me, on the team. I believe, if I saw correctly, that the final score, and for those that maybe aren't familiar with BC high school football, there's 2A football. There used to be tier two, and then two double A, and then triple A. Now there's only double A and triple A, the highest level that you can win, and obviously that's what Van College plays in. And you mentioned, the Tweedsmuirs and Mount Doug's and some of these, Terry Foxes, some of the powerhouse programs that play football here in BC. If I remember correctly, it was like 45-0 final. And as I see you're smiling, in the Subway Bowl. If you don't mind, you already kind of mentioned a little bit about your teammates and the talent level. I believe like Jason Siriano was on that team, UBC athlete, if you want to call him that. And I think a lot of guys that were in your class the very next year went on to commit, like you said, to U Sports or could have played U Sports. So if you don't mind, maybe just talking about kind of your teammates as well as yourself and just the talent level, as you already kind of were alluding to, that was on that team.
Yeah, our team that year was pretty deep, I would say. I wasn't starting at the start of the year. I was actually Jason's backup, Soriano's backup. So he was one of the most athletic players I'd ever played with. He was such an outstanding athlete, and still is. He plays both sides of the ball over at UBC. So yeah, he was awesome. And then we had a bunch of young talent as well. I think out of our DBs, on the other side was Marcus Tuley. He didn't play post secondary, but he was quite a solid DB. Shout out to him. And then Parsa, my corner, he went to Queens. Keyshawn, the other corner, he went to UBC, played corner there. And yeah, both our middle linebackers went to Toronto. We had our D tackle who currently plays O line for us at Western. Another D tackle could have easily played in U Sports, Ryan. And then on the offensive side, same thing. I could list, running back, receivers. I mean, Jason played both ways. He's quarterback. Our other quarterback was still outstanding. Yeah, this really really great group. But even with the talent, you can still lose games, and I think the reason that we were so good is that we all trust each other and we had fun out there, and that was one of the most fun years of football I've played. So yeah, good memories with all those guys, and some of them are still going out there playing football. So yeah.
Great experience, it sounds like, man. You hear about a lot of, or you'd be lucky to, hear about a high school team in BC, maybe getting kids to go to, CGFL and a couple U Sports. But the amount of names that went on, I'm sure were a very talented roster. I couldn't imagine what practices were like in the competition level. So I'm curious, and it's been unfortunate that I've had to have this conversation with a lot of you guys. Is a part of your journey is the COVID-19 experience, and obviously, as I mentioned, your grade 11 season was the one you guys won, and then COVID was kind of a part of your journey. So if you don't mind, maybe just talking about kind of your experience throughout that time. And I know I've had this conversation with a lot of people, so those that are listening to this episode again are probably hearing me repeat myself. But now that I've had Theo on and Taylor on, a few of these guys that have went on to done things, they've kind of also the same thing as of when people were kind of sitting around doing nothing, they were taking the opportunity to get better while everybody wasn't. So if you don't mind, just take us through your kind of experience. And as you mentioned, with your dad having the training kind of history behind him, were you guys able to kind of train at home and stuff like that?
Yeah, that was definitely like a blessing in disguise. It was tough because I lost my senior year of sports, and that was something I was super looking forward to with all my friends and teammates and all that. But up until that point, I hadn't been able to kind of train with my dad, and kind of in the gym, on the field, all that stuff. So yeah, when COVID hit, I was training almost every day, getting in the gym, on the field, and I saw the biggest growth that I've ever had in that off season. And I think it was evident when I went to Western. I felt my best and had all the confidence in the world and all that stuff. So yeah, we kind of took it in stride. We went to the field, we threw, we ran. We found others that would do the same. I met up with one of my sprint coaches now, Derek Hansen. He's done some wonders for me. So he's been a big part of that journey as well. And then in the gym, my dad training me, as well as some of my friends and teammates and people that have played for other universities, really made me such a better athlete. So that period of COVID, although it was tough, with school and all that, and losing seasons, I was able just to train the whole time, and got super big, jumps physically and mentally and with confidence. So with that, yeah, it did suck, but I also was able to capitalize on the opportunity.
So with that, you said, senior season, unfortunately, weren't able to have. Take us through your recruiting process. Obviously, we know that you end up at Western, but part of the journey is also kind of the experience of, maybe potentially going on a visit or two. And obviously you weren't able to do that with COVID going on, and I'm sure doing it in other ways with, phone calls, or I guess Zoom calls at the time. Um, Take us through your recruiting process, and maybe obviously you ended up at Western. Was there any other schools, maybe a UBC, obviously being a BC boy, involved in the recruiting process for yourself?
Definitely a different, unique process than before or after my year. So a lot of Zoom. I had my grade 11 film. Like, thankfully, I had a good season that year, so I was able to kind of get noticed that way. And just trying to go to any like little camps, little combine stuff that I could. Like little CFC prospect stuff. They didn't end up having the game that year, but I did some of the camps and combines. And then, yeah, I was on Zoom calls. I was learning. I was getting emails, whether that be from East Coast schools. Uh, Not as much back home. I kind of knew I wanted to leave. I knew I wanted to kind of live by myself, see what that experience was, because I'd never done that before. And I thought, this is the perfect time to do it when everyone else is. So kind of knew I went to go. But even with that, UBC did not really recruit me, which is funny because my dad's also an alumni there, and I'm a local kid. But yeah, not too much recruitment there. But yeah, I think I was set on going out east anyways. Yeah, and that was a very tough decision. There's so many great coaches in Canada, especially in the OUA, and I made great connections with a lot of them. I flew out in November that year because that was when everyone was kind of committing, which was a lot earlier than years before or after, where usually they'd commit like maybe plus or minus a month from today. So I flew out in November. So I wanted to see the campuses. It was like the second time I've been to Ontario. Went to Toronto for a day. Big city. I grew up kind of in sort of a city, so like wasn't my biggest choice to live in another city. So then went out to Laurier, checked out their campus. Went out to Western. Went to McMaster. And yeah, I think just a combination of their like rigorous program, like the success they've had on the field, the options in the classroom, and then the social life. I've heard great things about Western, and I can speak to that as well. It's been an amazing experience here. So that aspect as well. So it kind of had a bit of everything, and I love the campus. So for me, even though I didn't really know too many people on the team, I knew two people that went to my high school. Other than that, kind of clean sweep. But I was okay with that because I would have 110, 20 friends right away, just being on the team. So knowing that, decided to kind of take a leap of faith, go to Western, and definitely been the right decision for me.
So you talked about the leap of faith to go to Western, but with that, there's also a lot of similarities, I feel like, with kind of Vancouver College and making the jump to Western. And that obviously starts with the purple that comes within wearing both uniforms, as well as the very rich winning histories and tradition that comes with both programs. You mentioned already kind of the transition, that already making it smoother. Did that kind of just add into your decision a little bit more, of maybe seeing some of those similarities compared to maybe the other schools that you visited in Ontario?
Yeah, one thing that definitely kind of lured me towards Western was people telling me that I was never going to play there because it's too competitive. Um, And I was like, perfect. I love a competitive atmosphere. I want to be challenged. I want to earn a spot on the best team. And, I don't want to just be given a spot. So that definitely fed into my decision making there. Yeah, definitely had to earn a spot, right? I think anywhere university Canadian football, you're not just going to be given a spot. So knowing that I was going to work for it and not having that as a deterrent was definitely a big factor. And I think that's something that Vancouver College definitely instilled into me, is that, if you work hard, put your mind to it, and you have confidence in your abilities, and you trust what the coaches are saying, then you're going to have an opportunity, and you just have to capitalize on it. So that was kind of my mentality, and big part of why I chose Western.
Well said, man. Great answer. And was really looking forward to kind of chatting to you about the western part of your journey. I have a few, I don't even see connections, but a good buddy of mine I went to high school with, my high school receiver went out to Western, was on the 2017 Vanier Cup team. And then I actually played against, I know, a good buddy of yours, Ryan Barthelson, when he was with the Langley Rams. So shout out to Ryan, shout out
Yeah.
to Malik Bessiger if he's listening, Mustang alum as well. But I'm curious, getting into your Mustang career a little bit more, a guy that is probably talked about a lot. And I know you've been asked this question a little bit, but talk about what Coach Marshall means to not only you, but the whole program as a whole.
Yeah. A lot of head coaches, uh, I think players may not have as much of a connection as it were to be their special teams or their position specific coach, that kind of thing. But I think Coach Marshall makes it a priority to feel like you're part of his family, like not even his extended family. Like you would literally be his son, and if you ever needed something, he would drive to the middle of nowhere and do it for you. So he's that kind of person, and like going through the years, definitely build a relationship with him. That goes with all the coaches, right? With the defensive coordinator, special teams, DB coach, all that stuff. So you definitely build relationships, but he makes it an intention to make you feel welcomed, feel like you're part of a family. And yeah, if you ever need anything, he always has protein bars in his office. I love it. After my workouts, go in there, grab one, chat for a couple minutes, and it's always a highlight of my day. So yeah, definitely don't think I could ask for a better head coach. And I think a lot of my teammates would agree with me.
Love that. So I'm curious, you get to Western, and with the winning history, you end up winning a Vanier Cup in your very first year as a freshman. Take us through that experience of, you move away from home, and you, like you said, you end up 100 brothers right away with all your teammates and stuff like that. And you go through the season, a hard season, I'm sure, battling in the OUA, and you end up capping off by beating the University of Saskatchewan, if I remember correctly. Um, by winning the Vanier Cup. That's got to be an unbelievable experience for you in your first year. I know you hear a lot of stories of the first time, maybe rookies they win in their first year and they're like, man, we're going to do this every year for the rest of my career. But sometimes it's not always like that. So I'm curious for you, what are just like maybe some of your memories from winning the national championship?
Yeah, that was a pretty unreal experience. I mean, coming off of a provincial championship as well, it was, like I get used to doing this. I'm really having some fun here. But yeah, that team was special. There were some special players on that team, and a special culture that year as well. The guys would hang out a lot outside of the field, um, you know, so there was really great group cohesion there, and it all came together at the end of the year. We had a tough loss right at the start of the season to Guelph, and I think that kind of set the tone. There's always that one moment where you kind of snap back to reality and say, okay, we're not untouchable. What do we have to do to fix this? And I think it definitely motivated that group. And yeah, winning that Yates Cup, um, we went to Queens and beat them there. So that's always a fun thing to do. And that was my first introduction to that. So, and then after that, coming back to Western and then going over to Quebec City when it was frozen solid, but definitely worth the cold hands for 4 hours. Yeah, that was a pretty unbelievable experience doing it with those guys, and I think from then on, it kind of bonds you with even those guys. When I was only there for my first year and they're leaving, now we're on the same group that's going to be immortalized for winning a national championship, which is really amazing. So that was a cool experience for sure. Definitely special my first year.
It's funny that you mentioned the frozen field. I had Riker Frank on. He had kind of the opposite perspective, I guess, and he mentioned kind of the University of Saskatchewan freaking out because I think they were trying to get some special turf shoes in because of the field and stuff like that. So it's kind of funny to hear you guys mention that and some of the stories that come from that. So, Jackson, I'm curious to talk about a few, if you don't mind maybe talking about a few plays throughout your career and watching, your highlight tapes and stuff like that. And one, you mentioned playing the University of Queens, and if you don't mind maybe taking us into your face mask or behind the face mask of your pick six first time a few years ago, and was an incredible, what kind of looked like a very instinctual play, and I believe on the play for those that maybe can go look on Jackson's YouTube channel, and maybe wasn't your responsibility with the running back coming out of the backfield, and you end up taking the ball back the other way for a touchdown. Could you just maybe take us through your preparation and end up doing it in a way as well?
Yeah, that was a really really big play for me. That was my first pick six at Western, so that was an unbelievable play. But yeah, that game they were driving on us. I think we were up like we weren't even up a score. I think we were up 5 or something, maybe 6 or maybe a score. But yeah, they had probably like a 10 play drive up to that point. They're on our 20-yard line. We're in man coverage. We're sending a 5-man pressure. And yeah, I see their guy pop out of the backfield. And one of my teammates is kind of drifting on his back hip there. And yeah, I could tell immediately that it was meant to be a pick play. So, unless the QB has time to set his feet, throw it back, it's probably not going to go to that pick guy. It'll go to the rub route there. And I saw that our D lineman had some good pressure on him. So because of that, saw it come out, jumped it, and they ended up throwing it. Sometimes the QBs will hang on to it and take the sack, but that time, luckily, I don't think he saw me coming from behind him, and then jumped it and had one of my linebackers there escorting me and running right to their new pavilion that they had just put in. I think that was like one of their first or second home games, so they were kind of breaking in the new pavilion, and all the Queens people were yelling down at me, 30, you suck, and I was like, yeah, let's go. So that was super cool. Spiked the ball there and went right back out, right on defense, but with a little bit of fire. I wasn't that tired at that point. I was pretty fired up. So yeah, that was a pretty unbelievable experience. Yeah, just hoping that there wasn't a flag on the play, running down. So yeah.
Hell yeah, buddy. That's got to feel good in the Way Stadium, like I mentioned. So a second one, and this will be maybe a little bit of a two-parter, was absolute beautiful interception you had on Taylor Elgersma in that 2023 season as well. And the end zone copy of it is fantastic with you kind of on the I guess near hash it would have been, but the ground you covered to go to the sideline to make that interception and then just get the 1 foot down was a remarkably athletic play, and just the range that you covered. Could you just kind of same thing, take us through the play and kind of what you saw, as well as speak about kind of that rivalry with Laurier as well as Taylor Augustman? You're kind of in a way the quarterback of the defense, right? Being the safety, and I'm sure a lot of the week of preparation, you guys are both kind of studying each other and what you guys are kind of. I'm sure every week he's kind of wondering where 30 is and making sure that he IDs you and stuff like that. So take us through, like I said, two-parter question, the interception, and then just that rivalry with Laurier as well as Taylor.
Yeah, on that interception, I think that was a pretty special play for me. It was the Yates Cup. It was a year when we were considered underdogs, right? We were undefeated that year, but we had barely beat Laurier the first time we played them. A lot of people were betting that other teams were going to beat us when the Yates Cup, all that. So, yeah, on that play, I read his eyes and yeah, took off to the sideline. Ball kind of floated up a little bit. I think our linebacker, Nixon, hit him when he was throwing. And as soon as I jumped, I realized that I was right on the sideline. So I had to stick that foot down and then fell right into our bench. And if it was the opponent's bench, I don't know if I would have got the flip of the coin call there, but it was our own bench, and everyone was screaming it was a catch and pointing at the sideline, and the refs called it in. So that was a pretty good momentum swinger. I think they were up that game as well. They'd scored the first one, so that was a good time to make a play, and then we got it back there. I'm not sure if we scored, but I think we went into half with a lot of confidence that we were gonna come up victorious that game.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
so
in the second part.
yeah, all good, all good.
Yeah, so Laurier and Taylor, definitely a rivalry over the years. We got the best of them the first few years, and that third year mine was with that pick. That was a pretty sweet victory. I think that was maybe my favorite victory in all my years here at Western, winning that Yates Cup. But yeah, he's obviously an outstanding player. I have a lot of respect for him, and he's been doing some really cool things down south and getting attention, and that attention on Canadian players is something that I think is really really great, and it's awesome that he's attracting so much attention because there's so many great players here in Canada. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for him. I know he's a lot of respect for me as well, and we've had our talks and stuff like that. And he's as much as he's someone that you want to dislike on the field and stuff, and he trash talks and he gives the odd shove to one of our guys after the play. Yeah, his guys rally around him, and for that you have to respect him. And he has great arm talent. He obviously watches a lot of film. Knows where his eyes are looking, knows where my eyes are looking. So, yeah, I've had a lot of fun playing against him. Hoping it's not the last time that I do, but we'll see with these next couple of months.
Yes, yes, we will. So, with talking about your career a little bit more, I'm curious. You started, I think, playing a little bit of the halfback position in the boundary a little bit. In the last 2 years, you played safety, as well as a lot of special teams reps that you put on film as well. I'm curious, how do you think your position flexibility as well as your willingness to play special teams will kind of help you transition to the next level?
Yeah, I think those are two big things that I can bring to the table. I love special teams. It's one of my favorite things. Punt cover, kickoff. I've played kickoff return. I've been the center for 4 years, so I'll do that job too if I need to. But yeah, definitely something that I take pride in, and I think our team takes pride in. And we took a few returns to the house the past couple of years, so that's always fun. But yeah, that plus kind of my ability to play multiple positions. I think I can play safety, halfback, and even Sam at the next level. Because I love getting dirty in the box, and as a boundary half, I've had experience doing that. I've been blitzed a lot. I've been putting those coverages, and I've also played deep, and I played man, and yeah, with all that experience, I think I can bring a lot of versatility on the table. But if there's one thing for sure I can bring, it's productivity on special teams. I know for a fact that whether I'm on the return team or the attack team or whatever you call it, kick team, that I can do my job well. So yeah, definitely something that I think if I need to, I can just watch my tape. I've played a lot of specials and I can play at the next level.
Love that. I'm not speaking for you, Jackson. All I need is a reaction. I know the BC Lions are in need of a Sam linebacker right now, so I'll just leave it at that. But I'm curious with Western and we talked about coaches on staff, including Coach Marshall, obviously. And we hear all the time about this famous Western defensive playbook and stuff like that. With at the next level, I'm sure it's going to be a little bit of transition for most U Sports athletes. But I'm curious how you think kind of Western has prepared you for the next level as well. With, like I said, the playbook, coaches, and just the resources that come with playing at a program like that.
Yeah, I think there's a massive responsibility for defensive players at Western, definitely for free safeties, for middle linebackers. Yeah, I had the responsibility of knowing everyone else's responsibility, right? And if they're not in the right spot, that's on me to correct them and knowing that. And our defense is heavily audible based. a lot of stuff gets audible during plays, and I'm yelling out there and got to make people in the right spot and then do my job. So yeah, it was a bit of a transition from high school. We played American ball back in BC, so even that was a transition. Then having this massive playbook, where you're audibling a lot of the plays. Thankfully, I had a great vet, Dan Valente. He really took me under his wing. Answered any questions. I had a lot of questions, so that was good. And learning from him, he was a first team All Canadian in his last 2 years. So watching him play, kind of seeing what he did well, and any mistakes that he'd make, and how he'd correct them, and taking that into account was really beneficial to me. And I think that wherever I am at the next level, I'm cerebral enough to pick up the playbook in any position, and know my responsibility and be able to direct others as well on the field. I'm very comfortable with that.
All right, Jackson. So let's a few more for you, and we'll get you out of here, and we'll kind of transition into the CFL Combine upcoming. I'm just curious, with it coming in a few weeks, how it must be like we were talking about, kind of seeing your dreams almost come to fruition here. How excited are you to kind of talk to and display yourself in front of coaches and GMs in the next few weeks?
Yeah, super excited. It's definitely one of those things where you have a lot of nerves, but a lot of excitement. It's almost like you're gonna go play a game. But yeah, I'm super pumped for that. I know that I'll be prepared, like physically and mentally. Yeah, to put my best self out in front of coaches, and yeah, I think it'll be a great weekend. I think it'll be fun, competing with and against the top guys in Canada and the States, and whoever's eligible for the CFL. So super pumped up for that. Really looking forward to putting my best self out there, and that's kind of all I can do. I just gotta be my best, and then whatever happens happens. So yeah, as long as I'm happy with what I put out there, then it'll be a success. So it's coming up though, so the work I've done, there's not too much to build off of that now. It's kind of, the work is written in stone. So next couple of weeks will be quite fun.
So with that, you were on the last two, or the first two, I guess I should say, CFL's Scouting Bureau list. That's obviously the CFL's list that's voted on by CFL scouts, GMs, some other front office executives. They do it in the fall, winter, and then obviously in the spring. And they put together a list of 20 prospects. I think you were 5 in the fall, number 8 this past whenever it was released in the winter. Um, I get that you're a very humble individual, and I'm sure it's kind of a lot to talk about yourself over and over again. So I don't want to ask you what it means to you to win this individual award, when I'm sure it's all about team success and stuff like that. Um, but how is it, I guess, wanting to, you talked about wanting to compete and stuff like that, but also wanting to kind of almost back up what coaches are seeing on film, where they're watching. Obviously, I'm sure some CFL scouts are maybe able to get out to Western and stuff like that, and the Ontario teams are able to get out and watch you in person. But a lot of these coaches are maybe watching your film and stuff like that, so they're not able to see you in person. How excited are you for that challenge to maybe back up what the coaches have been seeing in film in person?
Yeah, that'll be huge. And I'm confident that I can, and what I put on film is me, and it's genuine, and yeah, whether that be during my season, or at the East West Bowl last spring, or that stuff, I think I can produce my best effort, and I love playing with some pressure. So there'll definitely be some of that there, and I know the coaches, they're gonna scrutinize me, and pick apart any weaknesses and stuff. So just being prepared in that sense as well, and yeah, be confident in myself as a player, and as a person, and yeah, put on my best show there.
So with that, Jackson, you mentioned, I believe it was Coach Hansen, your father, who's played a big role in some of your prep and your athleticism, your training and stuff like that. You mentioned the East-West Bowl last year. I believe it was a 4.31 40 or something like that, unofficial. But you mentioned of being best shape of your life, and like I said about Coach Hansen and your father and stuff like that. I don't want to maybe put any pressure on you, or maybe we should, because what's the saying? Pressure busts pipes or makes diamonds, Jackson. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing. But I'm curious, Jackson, maybe for some of us fans and stuff like that, a little teaser. Are we expecting to run in the same ballpark? And what does kind of your combine preparation look like in the last few weeks here?
Yeah, my combine prep has been, a lot of speed, a lot of explosiveness, power, that sort of thing. I'm confident in my football abilities. I've been fine tuning stuff. But with regards to the combine, some drills are very technical. Although the 40 is one of those speed things, it's also very technical. So just getting those little details down, and yeah, what to expect. Well, I expect to run well and run fast. So I think you guys can expect that too. Should be a good time out there.
Darn right, buddy. I'm looking forward to it. I'm curious. I believe you mentioned Coach Hansen. He's back home. He's back here, I guess, in BC, correct?
Yeah,
And same with your dad as well. I'm curious. And are you training kind of with David Mackey then at Western right now, or who are you working with? Or are you just kind of doing your own thing right now?
yeah. So I'm working with my dad, but he has
Gotcha.
sent the program.
Gotcha.
So doing a lot of his stuff here, and then yeah, a little bit of field work, a little bit of speed work and stuff, separate based on various trainers. Miguel out here has helped me, and then of course Derek Hansen has been great, and my whole time both in Vancouver and out here using his stuff that he's given me. So yeah, a lot of support from out here, although it's been a little bit independent throughout this off season. Um, but yeah, I've had access to all of our facilities here at Western. So definitely haven't been stuck behind any barriers in my training.
All right, Jackson. Last one for you here, buddy. And you mentioned, the player you are, but obviously it's about the person you are as well, right? And you talked about kind of it's not all about football. And I'm curious if you could talk about, or talk to some fans that you're probably going to be a member of their team, hopefully in a few months, of kind of the person that you're going to get. Obviously, the players there too, and you can mention maybe a few things. But you talked about the community service that you like to do and stuff like that, and I'm sure that's a big part of getting established in some of these communities and stuff like that. So talk to the fans about what kind of player they're going to get, as well as what our team's going to get from you.
Yeah, obviously, I can produce on the field, but that's seen through film and stuff, and what you don't see is myself beyond the field, right? So academics, I've put a lot of effort into that my whole career. I've gotten some cool recognition by Western and beyond for that stuff, and a large part of that as well is my volunteer work and community service. And that's something that has been instilled in me by my family, by Vancouver College, by all those things. So wherever I go, that aspect of me will stick along. So super excited to get involved in the community where I end up, wherever that may be. But yeah, that's a big part of me, a big part of my character, and it extends to the locker room, right? Having that unity in the locker room, that cohesion there, and doing stuff together that makes you all feel part of the larger community is super important to me, and that's something that I'll bring with me wherever I go.
Awesome. Jackson, thank you so much, man. That was a lot of fun getting to hear more about your journey and stuff. And um, something that we didn't talk about, med school student, and I'm sure you're very busy. So like I've said to you, very grateful of your time that you were sharing with us tonight and stuff like that, and wishing you best of luck in the future, buddy. And hoping to hear maybe the next Andrew Buckley or Laurent Duvernay Turnouf, the football med school students that can do both. So Jackson, man, just thank you once again for hopping on the channel here tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on here.
Awesome, buddy. Looking forward to seeing you represent the combine for all us BC boys out there. And like I said, just best of luck in the future. And hopefully we see you in a black and orange jersey in the spring. And thanks again.
Thank you.
All righty, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed episode 42 with Jackson Findlay, University of Western Mustangs safety, future CFLer. Like I said, I won't say it for Jackson, but hoping to see him in the orange and black. That would be nice. But whatever team gets him is getting a gem. I will say that I am jumping on the Jackson Findlay bandwagon right now. Remarkable young man and a heck of a football player when you turn on his highlights. And obviously, that's not the end all be all, folks. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people say, "Oh, I'm watching tape or grinding tape," and it's just a highlight video because there's a lot more to it. And obviously, highlights are one thing, but there's I don't want to say it with Jackson because that's kind of seeming wrong, but there's also lowlights that come with watching film, right? And sometimes I'm sure coaches are able to do this a little bit better than fans and stuff like that. But just the kind of the territory that comes with that sort of thing. So once again, thank you to Jackson for jumping on the podcast and chatting about his journey. It was a good chat. It was about an hour long, starting from Vancouver College, worked our way to the Western Mustangs, and then, of course, his combine preparation and kind of his goals, mindsets for whatever team he may land to. So, if you guys enjoyed, as always, most importantly, subscribe. When you guys subscribe, press the notification bell. You guys get notified every single time we go live on the channel or upload any sort of YouTube short or any other content on our Canadian Football Fanatics YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram at Canadian Football Fanatics, as well as Twitter at @_ CF Fanatics. Usually don't mess up that one, folks. It's been probably a minute since I messed up on Twitter. Um, that's on me. But once again, hope you guys enjoyed. That was a lot of fun. We're going to continue our prospect series, folks, and we're going to have probably about a week's time by the time this is uploaded for you guys to let your opinion be known. First of all, let us know that you guys enjoyed our first two episodes, with one being Nate Boschman, this one Jackson Findlay. I'm going to have two more after that. And let us know if you guys would like to see one more and who you would like to see. And if we can do it, we will try to get them on before the combine. If not, maybe we'll get them on after the combine. And I think that'll probably be the plan, is to get a few others after the combine, get their thoughts, how it was, hear a little peek behind the curtain from the combine. So that is going to do it for episode 42. As you see my bent finger, folks. That's hilarious. But thank you guys. That's going to do it for episode 42, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.